what he's been talking about. I would imagine he's talking about Rockstar Challenger.
Yeah.
I would imagine he's talking about Rockstar Challenger parties. I would imagine he's talking about world's largest challenge party. I can imagine he's talking about taking action, not being lazy. Never mind, that's what I'm talking about. Tino and I are always the sweet people, and they love you a lot, and I do too, but we have a different delivery, right? Tino loves on y'all a lot, and I just hit you right between the eyes. That's how we go do it. What I do want to talk to you about, I was walking over, actually I've been here once this morning. I was supposed to be at the Marriott this morning for a meeting, and I came to the Marriott, and this wasn't the Marriott. I went to the other Marriott for a meeting, and finally made it, and then I came back to this Marriott, but walking over just a minute ago, I was thinking back on the last 4 years, and I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit. Some of y'all, this is going to be too deep for, and that's okay. But the ones of y'all that get this, this could be life-changing for y'all. And so back 4 years ago, y'all probably all heard the story of why I aligned with ViSalus, the mechanics, the company, the leaders, and all that. And if you haven't, go to YouTube. There's plenty of videos out there of me talking about it. But what I really want to talk to y'all about now is something called a sweet spot. Something called a sweet spot. There's never a bad time to enter a business. There's never a bad time. There's never a bad time to enter ViSalus. But I will tell y'all without a shadow of a doubt, there is a best time to enter a business. There is a best time to take action if you're already in a business. And that's when you hit this thing called a sweet spot. Let me share with you what that is. And I'm going to do it through parables maybe, if that's what they call it. But back in 2010, when I entered the business, ViSalus was in a sweet spot. In 2005, the company launched. They had growth. In 2008, they found what was called a ceiling. In 2009, they found what was called a floor. Ebbs and flows, or flows and ebbs. I don't know which one's what, right? I'm not real smart. But there was a peak and there was a valley, right? But it's called a ceiling and a floor. In December of 2009, they began to turn their nose up. In January of 2010, they had double-digit growth. Now here Kyle is, a businessman, watching all of this happen. I understand what a sweet spot is. A sweet spot is once a company in network marketing, direct sales, MLM, when a company finds its floor and begins to go into growth, or what's called momentum. That's the sweet spot. That's where wealth is created. It doesn't mean you can't create wealth when you're finding your floor, because I'll prove it. How many of y'all know Ernest Ross came in at the ceiling and created wealth while the company was finding its floor? Ernest did that. It's doable. But can y'all imagine if Ernest would have come in at the sweet spot? He would have probably passed Nick in income already. Straight up. Good thing he's pulling the trigger again right now in the sweet spot, because he'll probably pass Nick in income. 2010, found the floor. January, double-digit growth. I entered in February in the sweet spot. I created sick wealth. We made the run. We went all the way. In 2012, we found our ceiling. 2013, we found our floor. December of 2013, we turned our nose up. January of 2014, we had double-digit growth. Are you getting this? February of 2014, we had double-digit growth. Where are you at right now? You're at the freaking sweet spot. And I'm going to tell all of y'all right here in the room, you're in the sweet spot, but does that matter? Some of y'all are going to go, I don't know what that joker's talking about. Some of y'all are going to go, hey, you know what? This is my shot in life. And I don't know about y'all, but man, I didn't want any guarantees in life. I just wanted a daggum shot, man. I just want somebody to give me a shot in life. That's all I ever wanted. And some of y'all know my backstory. I didn't come from wealth. I mean, I came not from poverty, but I came from barely getting by. And you know, I was talking yesterday on stage, and I was talking about the different reasons why people engage and change ranks and what have you. And I touched on pride, but I moved quickly off of it because I get a little emotional, and I didn't want to get tore up in front of everybody, right? I kind of had the crowd in a frenzy, and if I'd have started bawling, everybody would have it kind of messed up my whole rap thing I came out to. Yo! Oh. Was that good?
Yeah.
Good. I was so excited at 4 o'clock I was still doing it. Just a couple hours ago, actually. I was talking about pride, but I want y'all to get this. Because some of y'all, everybody's moved by different things, right? But because of where I came from, when I saw that sweet spot, all that went through my mind is, Kyle, this is that shot, right? I've had opportunities in my lifetime and I seized them. Sometimes a little early, sometimes a little late. I have never, as much money as I've made, y'all, I have never hit anything perfect. I've always been a little late or a little early. I've never hit that sweet spot. I knew how to identify it, but for whatever reason, some self-holdback, something held me back from just letting go and going when I had the opportunity. Me and Tito and Irene was involved in the business back in 2006. 2006. I had the opportunity to hit the sweet spot in 2005. January of 2005, I had an opportunity to hit the sweet spot, but I didn't pull the trigger. Don't know why. Just that self-hesitation. Do I regret it? Yeah. How many of y'all know 100 million is better than 7 million? 7 million is not bad. But 100 million, if I would have pulled the trigger in 2005, 14 months earlier, 100 million is a whole lot better than 7 million. Would y'all agree with me? You know, I always tell people to remember, and I'll come back to pride. Y'all remind me to come back to pride because I'm going to circle back. I always tell people to think about this. How many of y'all have had some old person tell you about something they could have done? Yeah. You know, my dad's story, and my dad don't have Alzheimer's, but sometimes I think he does. Because I've heard this dad blasted story 9,999 million times, right? About when my mom was pregnant with me. He had an opportunity to buy a piece of property in St. Augustine, Florida that started at the Volana Beach Bridge. Anybody familiar with St. Augustine? Y'all? Then y'all are going to really, this is going to hit home with y'all. He had an opportunity to buy a piece of property that started at Porpoise Point at the Volana Beach Bridge, and it ended at Surfside.
Oh my goodness.
1.1 miles of waterfront property. 1.1 miles of waterfront property for less than $100,000.
Oh, wow.
And they were going to hold the paper. They were going to finance it. Zero money down. But my mother was pregnant with me, and he was scared to make a commitment that he knew he could handle, but he was scared to make that commitment. And he had the opportunity, had the shot. And by the way, it wasn't the beach, it was the river, right? If it was the beach, it would have been worth more back then, but it was the river. How many of y'all know it don't matter? That property's worth nearly $1 billion today. How many? $1 billion. Now I hear my dad tell the story over and over. Well, son, your mom was pregnant with you, and I had the opportunity, I had the shot, and I just didn't take it. I could have been. How many of y'all know that's a story you'll hear over and over? Another buddy of mine, he had an opportunity when he was a young man. He was in his early 20s. A guy came to him and said, "You ain't gonna believe this. I just come out of a meeting with some really smart people. They're fixing to run wires all over the United States right next to the daggum telephone wires. They're going to run them all over the United States. They're going to run them into people's houses, and people are going to pay for television." Well, back then, he's thinking, that's a great idea, man. This sounds amazing. He's in his early 20s. He's so fired up. So he goes, because there are people you're going to be able to pick what you're going to watch. You're not just going to have 3 stations. You're going to have like 100 stations. And he's like, man, this is incredible. This is the most amazing thing. In his 20s, he's all fired up. He goes home to the smartest guy he knows, his dad. And he says, "Dad, I need $5,000 to invest in this thing. They're going to run daggone wires all over the United States. People are going to pay for TV. You're going to be able to watch it 24/7. I mean, it's going to be amazing." And his dad looked at him and said, "Son, the dumbest investment I ever heard. You'd have to be a freaking idiot to pay for TV when it's free." How many of y'all know there's a bunch of idiots in this world today paying for TV? He had an opportunity to invest in the early days with Ted Turner, $5,000. $5,000 would have got him in, and his dad stole his dream because his dad, if you're not up on something, you're what? Down on it. Why do I tell you all these stories? Because one thing for certain, time is going to pass, yes?
Yes.
And if you're drinking your shakes, your goes, your pros, and your neuros, Hopefully you're going to be around for a while.
Air mattress up. Chris can help you do that.
If you're not, you might check out early. But if you're around for a while, how many of y'all got kids? You're around for a while, you're going to have something called grandkids. How many of y'all got them? If you're around for a little longer, you're going to have something called great-grandkids. Anybody got those? Want you to flash forward with me. Let me back up another time. Me back up another time. Me back up another time. I'm going to bounce a little bit. You heard me talk about something else yesterday. You heard me talk about having a crusade, right? Yeah. We'll share a story with y'all. Back in 1977, I believe it was. We back up further. In the 70s, because I don't know the exact date. In the 70s, there was a high school football coach in Georgia. And his mother and his father had something called cash value life insurance. And his father died. And when his father died, they came to a realization that the cash value life insurance wasn't what they thought it was. They thought that when his dad died, they got money to bury him, but they had at some point taken a loan out on that policy, and the way it worked is if you borrowed money, you lost the face value. And so when his dad died, there was no money there. He was a high school football coach. It absolutely burned his butt. He got flat fired up that people was being deceived with these insurance policies, and he had something called a crusade where he went out and started preaching to people, buy term life insurance and invest the difference into a security so you could get both. Now, I told you all that to set the stage. What I want to talk to you about is his crusade. That was his crusade. So in 1977, he started a company called A.L. Williams with this crusade of buying term and investing the difference. In 4 short years, he became the largest producer of individual life insurance in the world. Flash forward with me. 1986. 1986, you would have to add the top 5 insurance companies together. New York Life, Prudential, MetLife, and the other 2. Have to add their total sales together, and you still couldn't come up with how much he sold in 1 year. He wasn't just the largest, he was the largest by far. Why? Because he had a crusade. Why do I tell y'all that? Y'all heard me talking yesterday about a crusade, didn't you? If you don't know, if you're not wrapped around our crusade, and I'm going to hit y'all right between the eyes with this, y'all ready? If you can't get wrapped around the crusade of crushing obesity or feeding kids, you don't have to get wrapped around both of them. If you do, that's great. But you got to get wrapped down one or the other, crushing obesity or feeding kids. If you can't get wrapped around either one of those, I'm going to highly suggest you go ahead and turn your promotership into a customership. Just drink the shakes and go back and focus 100% on your job, your hourly rate, or whatever it is, and do that. Because if you cannot get wrapped around that crusade, you will never build a massive business. You'll never build financial independence. You'll always be that guy at 80-something years old, telling your kids that you could have, you should have, you would have, and you're going to have should have all over you. Y'all know how that works, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Art Williams had a shot in 1977. He took it, didn't he? Yeah. And today, if you go Google Art Williams, he did a speech in 1986 to the Christian Coalition. He was sandwiched between Swaggart and Falwell. 1986, you just listened to it, didn't you? It's called Just Do It. And I encourage all of y'all to go Google it, Just Do It. Just so y'all know, I'm gonna show y'all something. That was my first mentor. Okay? That was the guy that inspired me. That's the guy that made me believe that it didn't matter how much education or how little education I had. He's the guy that inspired me to believe it didn't matter what my last name was. He's the guy that inspired me that it didn't matter where I came from. It didn't matter what side of the tracks I was born on. That if I wanted something bad enough and I was willing to do something about it, I could achieve anything that I chose to. He was the guy that inspired me. Now watch this. Because of him, all of y'all are standing here today. I'm going to tie this together. Watch this. Because of him, you're here today. Y'all don't even know who he is. But because of him, you're where? Here. Oh, Kyle, how's that? Because in 1987, he inspired me. That led me into an industry that forever changed my life. That 1996 caused me to go to a Christmas party in Kingsland, Georgia. Kingsland, Georgia, there you are. Kingsland, Georgia, with some guy that was German going, what was his name?
I even forgot.
I remember his name. Kingsland, Georgia, whamboozled. Tito and Irene told him it was a Christmas party, and I showed up talking about how to get rich. Best Christmas present I ever had. I don't know about y'all, but it's best Christmas because they come into my life. Y'all see what just happened? They come into my life. 1987, I was inspired to greatness. That led me through a series of steps, a series of connections, to a connection with an amazing, it's going to get really crazy. 1987, I was inspired. 1988, I met a young man. Or 1989, I met a young man, blonde-headed surfer boy, who was in the industry of direct sales at another company, not one I was in. He was in another company. He was selling soap. He was selling soap. I was doing something else. He was selling soap. Is Linda here?
No.
He was selling soap. He kept telling me about this little gal he was dating. He kept telling me about this young girl he was dating. He was so excited about her. He would never bring her around me. I couldn't understand that, but he was so excited about her, right? He went on to marry her. Years later, we always stayed in connection, real good friends. Years later, 3 months before I met Tito, I was at his house in Jacksonville, Florida, and he invited his mother-in-law and father-in-law over to talk to me. And I sat at a table, big long table, sat about 12 people, and there was a red-headed lady sitting there, and there was this grumpy old fart sitting there. He hated life. This dude was down on the world, man. What I didn't know is he had just had a heart attack, and he was really just didn't like nobody. He wasn't prejudiced. He hated everybody. And, everybody. He was like, no, I don't like nobody. And I sat there and talked to them, and every time he'd get out of the line, Linda would kick him under the table. Whop! And I'd see him jump. This is amazing. So through a connection of 1988, I meet these folks. Then I get invited to a Christmas party, not a Christmas party, I get invited to go speak in Kingsland, Georgia, which happened to be a Christmas party that Tito and Irene was at, that they saw a vision, connected with me, we began to build, and through that, flash forward to 2010, one of my first phone calls was to Tito and Irene Ollie. And I said, Tito and Irene, I'm launching a weight loss company, and so are you. Did y'all notice I did? It wasn't. Y'all catch how that worked? That's called speed of trust, right, Tito? That's what we're talking about. It wasn't, Tito, would you please, if you want, Tito, I'm launching a weight loss company, and so are you. Because we're friends. That's what we do. And today, all of y'all are here because I was inspired in 1987. Does that make sense?
For us, that you have no idea. I mean, you do have an idea. Mike and Linda, they never had big success in this industry. Neither did John, neither did we. You looked at me and you said, create a story. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, I'll tell you, I'm bald-headed, but I got a memory. Look here, let me tell you all about John right here. I'm in the roasting, toasting, whatever y'all call it. The speed of trust wasn't quite the same with John as it was with Tito. Now, we all loved each other, but he had trusted in us to move into another company at some point. He was sold out. We were with this company that had purple juice, and so we said John bled purple. If you cut him, his blood was purple. And we sat in a restaurant in Jacksonville, Florida. I do not remember the name of it, but the Village Inn, Jacksonville, Florida. And I said, John, I'm opening a weight loss company, and so are you. And John said, you're opening a weight loss company. I am not opening a weight loss company. And he sat there and listened to me. He finally got pissed off. And when he got up so fast the table about flipped up on top of him. But watch this. His wife didn't get up. John said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll go do what I do and you go do what you do and we'll see who wins. And she won. Yeah. About a week later, John said, all right, I'm throwing the towel. I'm coming to sell milkshakes. He was over there with us, right?
Oh,
right.
of course.
True story.
And forever.
The same night, or the next night.
Yes.
Same night? Next night?
Next
Same
night.
Within 48 hours. Within 48 hours, where's Linda? Within 48 hours, I'm standing in the living room of these two amazing people that I had met. I met y'all. I didn't know y'all good, but I met y'all. I met y'all mommy a couple times. But did I say that word? Okay. I meant them in purple. But I'm standing in their living room, and I said, "Hey, listen. You know what? We're going to help fat folks get skinny, and we're going to go change lives." And they said, "You know what, Kyle? Let's do it. Let's do it." And so they aligned. It wasn't a big argument. It wasn't a bunch of fussing and fighting. It was a little bit emotional. I remember it was a little bit emotional. You know, and it still is today. We all have been crying. I'm about to cry too. I don't have any tears left. I didn't sleep long enough to get tears. But they came into my life. Yep. Yep. Love y'all. With them? Come on, let's do it again. She didn't get a click. She didn't click quick enough. Chip Avery. Yeah. Chip Avery was not far behind. It wasn't, how long, Chip?
8 months.
8 months later, I was in a home. It wasn't even your home, I don't believe. Yeah, it was your home. Was it your home?
You stopped out at the BMW dealership when we had Dale and London and the whole deal.
At the BMW dealership, but I did a home meeting right there. Was that y'all's house or somebody else's house?
Well, you kind of put it to me like this. You can stay closed-minded, fat, and broke, or come with us.
Boom! Closed-minded, fat, and broke, or come with us. Hey, just because you got a daggone hat on don't mean I can't see you. I sat over in Nicedale, Panama City, somewhere in Florida. We sat at a table, me, you, and Sharon. We're sharing it. Me, you, and Sharon. We sat in a restaurant. I came over to. I was in a town towards Pensacola, but not quite Pensacola. I was in Fort Walton Beach. After Fort Walton Beach, we went to, I think we went all the way to Niceville. And we sat at Ruby Tuesdays in Niceville, and we laid out a plan for the future. Right? We laid out a plan for the future. They believed in me, I believed in them. Do we know each other real well? No. Never been in business together. But our common denominator was a guy named Tito and a lady named Irene Alleman, and that created something called trust. And today, a bunch of you folks are sitting here because the beautiful gal and the bald-headed guy sat down at the table with me at Ruby Tuesdays, I think Ruby Tuesdays, and had a conversation. I love you guys. I love you guys. Absolutely. This is really cute. This is really cute. I really appreciate that, but I got a freaking flight to catch. Hello. Can you get on with it? No, I can't get on with it because I'm trying to make a point to y'all. Watch this. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what story are you going to tell? Whose life have you changed? Whose arm are you going to put? Who are you going to put your arm around that's going to be crying because of an impact that you've had in their life? What life are you going to change? Let's go further. Now you're 80 years old and you got great grandchildren. Now you're 80 and you're standing there. Are you going to be telling your great grandchildren, "I was there. I was at the Courtyard Marriott when the dude came, bald-headed, hiding it, had his hat on back." And some of y'all, why has he got his hat on backwards? I'm going to tell y'all why. Because when I wear it this way, it don't make no sense. Do y'all know that ain't nobody ever ran up behind me and said, "I accept your challenge"? I'm so flat pissed off about the way they done these hats. I'm wearing it backwards. Because the front says, "I challenge you."
Wear it well.
Now, if I had a nice butt, I ain't got no butt, but if I had a nice butt, and I was running around with some Lululemons or something, maybe people would run up behind me and accept my challenge. But I ain't got all that, so I got to turn my head around this way and look at you. 80 years old, talking to your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. What are you going to be telling them? You going to be telling them what you could have done? I was there. He came. He talked to us about ceilings and floors. He didn't just yak. He showed us real life testimonials, real life events that took place 4 years ago. I didn't see the vision. I didn't get it. I was so worried about catching the flight or the drive home. I was living in the moment. I could have. I would have. I should have.
All over myself.
And you should have all over yourself. Or are you going to tell that story? Grandson, great-grandson, I was there. I got it. I seized the moment. I understood it was my shot. It was my time. It was my opportunity to go change generations within our family. And today, great-grandson, you have options in your life because of what Pop did or what Grandma did. My grandbabies call me Pop. Because of what Pop did or what Grandma did, you now have opportunities in your life that you wouldn't have had. When that time comes, and it will come, when they put you in that box and 6 of your buddies carry you to a hole, are you going to have 6 friends that are proud to carry you? When they put you in that hole, what are they going to say? Good guy? Good lady? Had a nice house? Had a nice car? When they throw the dirt on you, man, or how long are they going to remember you? For a week? For a month? You don't do nothing to change people's lives. You're lucky if you get a month of memory. But you go change someone's life, you leave a legacy behind for your family, they'll remember you forever, man. 50 years later, 100 years later, you walk into your great-grandchildren's house and there's a picture of you on every freaking wall in that house. Why? Because you weren't just successful, you were significant. I challenge you, if you ever get an opportunity to go into any of the Rockefellers' homes, the Hunts' homes, the Kennedys' homes, the Vanderbilt homes, you're going to find out pictures of Grandma and Grandpa are on all those walls. Why? Because they made a difference. There was significance. They left a legacy, yeah? Mm-hmm. I'm not rah-rahing y'all. I don't want y'all to be excited. I want y'all to be emotional, because here's the deal. Where emotion meets opportunity is where wealth is created. Tito's probably done gave you all the mechanics of what to do, but none of that crap matters unless you know why you're doing it. True. You've got to have purpose. I didn't know any mechanics when I made my first million. All I knew is I had a burning desire to do something special. I had a burning desire to live to my maximum potential. I don't believe I'm here to be freaking average and ordinary. I believe I'm here to do something special. If I wasn't, I believe he'd have done took me out a long time ago, because Lord knows I've given him plenty of opportunities.
That's how it pride.
Huh?
Amen.
Tied into pride.
Huh?
That's tied into pride.
You're supposed to go back to pride. Remind us to go back to pride.
Thank you. You obviously were out late last night too, because you barely talked. I thought she was German for a minute.
Christmas all over again.
All of this I've done, think about it now. Here I was, an 18-year-old kid, and this is big vision. And I want to share with y'all that if you'll have big vision, you can achieve greatness. An 18-year-old kid, I didn't even have a child yet. But my mind was worked this way. I want first my mama to be proud of me. 18. This is how my head worked. 18. I want my mama to be proud of me. I want my children to be proud of me. And I want my grandchildren to be proud of me. Let's go full circle. My mama is extremely proud of me. My children love me. And if you think you can't buy love, you're foolish. My children love me a lot. My grandchildren, and they're proud of me. My grandchildren are extremely proud of me. And they will be as they get older and older, because of the opportunities that they have, right? Because of the opportunities that they have. I don't know what's going to drive you. For me, if you get what I'm telling you, it was all about pride. Not pridefulness, not me being prideful of what I've done, but me making sure that the people that's going to mean the most to me in life were proud of me. And for some of y'all, maybe it's your kids right now. I'm going to tell y'all, I just wanted my mom. In the early days, I mean, even though I could think about my kids and my grandkids, it was about making my mama proud. Making my mama proud. And you know, maybe that was instilled from watching football. I hate sports now, that type of, I like mixed martial arts, that's all I watch. But back in the day, I even watched that football. I just hate balls of all kinds. I'm just going to tell you right now. I think everybody ought to go to jail if they mess with those things. Golf balls, footballs, I don't like none of it. I think it's all illegal. It's a waste of time, and I'm gonna share with you why I say that, because I see people live their dreams through someone else on the TV and they ain't done nothing. Their week's determined by the success and failure of their team. If their team wins, they got a happy week. If their team loses, it's a devastating week. And it's impossible to build something big because it's around emotion, right? When emotion and opportunity meets, that's where success happens. If you give all your emotion to something you ain't even done, you're like jumping off the couch going, "Ah, look what we." Dude, you were sitting on the freaking couch. You were doing literally nothing. They ran all the way down the field. You didn't do. Does that make sense, y'all? Yeah. So, when I was a kid, I watched football. And maybe it's because when I'd watch football and every time a camera would get to a football player, they'd go, "Hi, Mom.